Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students of 8C, Assalamu alaikum. I'm your teacher, Muhammad Ilyas. Dear students, this is our 8th interaction regarding biology for Cambridge. Our today's topic is ecology from the chapter number 20 of your book, NLS Science Workbook 2, page number 90 to 93. Dear students, our objectives of today's session are as follows. Inshallah, we will be able to understand and solve the questions given in the workbook by considering these points. First of all, we will try to understand the concept of ecology, habitat, and its biotic and abiotic factors. Number 2, the physical and biological environment, its components and their importance. And thirdly, we will be focusing on the ecosystem and its different types. So dear students, we are going to start from the very basic concept of ecology. Dear students, ecology is basically the study of interaction between the living organisms and their environment. As you can see from this slide, that all the animals take oxygen from the environment. Specifically, if we take the example of humans, we take the oxygen from the environment, and in return we produces the carbon dioxide and leave it in the environment, and this carbon dioxide is consumed by the plants for the process of photosynthesis, and in return they release the oxygen in the environment. So in this way you can understand that the organisms, animal and plants and the environment, how they are interacting with each other, and that is why they are very important for each other. So now we are moving towards the very important point, that is habitat. Dear student, habitat is a natural home of an organism where it lives and reproduces. Some examples of habitats are ponds, rock pools, trees, and even the bodies of the large animals where tiny insects or microscopic animals live. A wide variety of living organisms is found in a habitat. As you can see from this slide, this is a pond, and you can see a large number of different types of organisms are found in this pond. Dear students, a place is best suited to be the habitat of an organism if it offers the organism an ample supply of food, shelter from the predators, protection from the bad weather, and a place to reproduce. Now we are going to understand the environment. Environment is everything around an organism that affects its way of life. This is the environment, and the environment can be divided into physical or abiotic and biotic. The physical environment is made up of physical factors which are non-living, such as light, temperature, water, minerals, pH, and oxygen. The climate of a place plays an important role in the physical environment of that place. The physical environment in turn determines the types of organisms which will live there. As the environment can never be best suited for every organism living in it, some organisms have adapted to their environment by developing certain features which enable them to live successfully in the environment. Dear students, here are some physical factors which make up the physical environment. We are going to study one by one. First of all, we are going to focus on the temperature. The heat received from the sun greatly influences the temperature of a place. Most organisms are active at temperature between 0 degrees centigrade and 45 degrees centigrade. However, aquatic animals and marine plants can remain active at freezing temperatures of around -1 degree centigrade. On the other extreme, certain invertebrates live in hot springs which have temperatures of about 50 degrees centigrade, while some algae can grow in waters at temperature of up to 80 degrees centigrade. So temperature is also very important because it controls the process of reproduction in some plants. Some plants will not develop seeds unless they are subjected to a certain temperature for a period of time. This explains how some fruits and flowers are seasonal. So dear students, temperature is playing very important role. Secondly, we are going to study the water. Water is essential for life and is therefore present in the environment of every organism. For example, aquatic animals and plants, whether marine or freshwater, water is the medium in which they live. The distribution of land organisms corresponds closely to the distribution of water over the land surface. Organisms are in general most abundant where water is available. So water is of great importance for the living organisms, and it's a very important factor, physical factor. Now we are focusing on the minerals. Minerals are needed by the plants for healthy growth. Nitrates, for example, are used by the plants to make proteins. Plants obtain minerals from the soil in which they grow. Dear students, pH is also playing very important role because the pH value of water determines the types of aquatic organisms that can live in it. Freshwater organisms live in fresh water with a pH of about 7. Marine organisms live in the sea with the pH value of about 8. So pH of the environment also playing very important role. Dear students, most organisms cannot survive in the environment which are too acidic or alkaline. That is why acid rain can kill aquatic life in rivers and lakes and the trees in the forests. Now we are focusing on the air. Specifically, when we talk about the air, we are focusing on the oxygen. Dear students, most organisms need oxygen for respiration. Land organisms take in oxygen from the air, while aquatic organisms take in oxygen that is dissolved in the water. So oxygen is very important for all of us. Now we are focusing a major point which is specifically mentioned in your workbook, the source of energy. Dear student, the source of all energy for ecosystem is the sun. The sun provides light because light is very important and enables many living organisms to see so that they can move about, find food and detect the danger. Sun is also very helpful in warming the environment, and it gives energy needed to evaporate water, which eventually leads towards the rainfall. And the very important point that the sun provides energy for the plants to make their own food. All green plants use light energy from the sun to make their own food, as other forms of life on earth depend directly or indirectly on green plants for food. So you can see, dear students, that the sun is of great importance for the life on this planet. And very important question which is in your workbook: how trees live through cold. Thick bark protects trees in dropping leaves in winter, conserve water and nutrients during cold winters. Dear students, the plants are adapted in the cold environment. They have very thick bark which actually isolate or insulate the internal body of the plant from its environment. So it acts as an insulator and protect the heat loss. Secondly, during the winter season, the plants which are present in the cold environment, they shed off their leaves in the winter to conserve the water and nutrients so that they can survive in the cold environment. So these two major points will help you to solve this question. Dear students, now we are moving towards the biotic environment. The biotic environment is made of all other living things which in any way influences the life of the organisms. No man is an island. This is not only true for man, it is also true for other organisms. Every living organism interacts with the other organisms by feeding on them, competing with them for food, water, light, air, and minerals, or by providing them with shelter and protection. Dear student, the most common of these interactions involves the food. You can see from this diagram, the deer is eating the grass. The earthworms are also present, and which is very playing very important role because all these organisms are interacting with each other, and all the living things make the biotic environment. Now we are focusing on a very important point, the camouflage. Camouflage is a pattern or coloring that disguises an organism or blends it with its surroundings. As you can see, the squirrel is blend with its environment. Dear students, the chameleon is an example of the camouflage organism. The chameleon, for example, is a master of disguise among the animals because it can change its color very quickly to blend with its surroundings, as you can see from this slide. It's very difficult to detect this organism in its environment. Now we are moving towards very important point, that is mutualism. The clownfish and the sea anemone, for example, benefit from each other by being together. The sea anemone provides shelter and protection for the clownfish, and in return the clownfish brings bits of food to the sea anemone and even lures large fish to its stinging tentacles. In this way, both these organisms are living together and helping each other, and both are getting benefits from each other. Now we are focusing on the population. Population, all the organisms that both belong to the same group or species and live in the same geographical area. And one thing more which is very important regarding the population, specific species at the same place at the same time. Time is also a very important factor while we are going to define the population, because at the different times the populations of different areas is different. Now you can see a population ecology. Zebras, a group of zebras are living together, they are drinking the water. At this time, this is making a population. Now we are focusing on the community. Different populations of plants and animals living together in the same habitat make up a community. You can see from this diagram the different populations, when they are interacting with each other within the same habitat, they make a community. Another, you can see plant, caterpillar, bird, and the decomposers. They are living together in a habitat and this make a community. Dear students, now we are focusing on the ecosystem. Ecosystem when different communities interact with one another and their physical environment, they form an ecosystem. Deserts, seashores, mountains, rivers, oceans, grasslands, and rainforests are some of the world's ecosystem. Earth itself is a huge ecosystem. Dear students, you can see the slides and you can see the different types of the ecosystems. Dear students, in a tropical rainforest, populations of macaws, toucans, spider, monkeys, sloths, and others which live near the tree tops called the canopy of the forest, they form a community. Another community of organisms made up of populations such as squirrels, chimpanzees, and tree frogs. Tree frogs live in the cooler and shadier part below the canopy called the understory. Populations of ants, jaguars, fungi, mosses, gorillas form the community on the forest floor. These different communities interact with one another and their physical environment to form the tropical rainforest ecosystem. So different communities form the ecosystems. Now we are focusing on the herbivores. Herbivores are the animals that eat only on plants. For example, the grasshopper and the deer feed on the plants. You can see the different example of the herbivores. Grasshoppers cut the grass and eat it, while the cows also eat the grass. Deer also eat the grass, while the elephants they eat the leaves. Caterpillar also eats the leaves. Dear students, here are some examples like butterfly and hummingbirds. They suck the nectar from the flowers. They are also called the herbivores because they depend on the plants. So this is your topic of today. Now we are focusing on the homework. This is from the chapter number 20. Dear students, you have to do all the questions of section A, B and C which are present on the page number 90 to 93 on your workbook. Please do all these questions and then send to your respective groups. Thank you very much for being with me. One more request, please stay at home, stay safe. Allah Hafiz.